In 1803, with a single signature, the United States doubled in size. It was a moment that would forever alter the course of American history, setting the stage for a new era of growth and possibility. The Louisiana Purchase was a real estate deal of epic scale, 828,000 square miles, for just $15 million, about 4 cents an acre. This vast expanse of land was larger than many European countries combined, and it instantly transformed the map of North America. Overnight, a young nation found itself in possession of land stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains, from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. The sheer scale of the acquisition was almost unimaginable for the people at the time. Americans could barely comprehend the scale of their new country. Suddenly, the United States was no longer a cluster of states along the Atlantic, but a sprawling nation with endless horizons and untapped potential. The purchase wasn't won by war, but by negotiation. A bold move that redefined the nation's future. Diplomats worked tirelessly behind closed doors, navigating complex politics and international intrigue to secure the deal. President Thomas Jefferson, despite his doubts about the constitutionality of such a move, seized the opportunity. He recognized that this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to secure the nation's future, even if it meant stretching the limits of presidential power. The deal was controversial, but it was a bet on America's destiny. Some feared the nation was overreaching, while others saw only promise in the vast, uncharted lands to the west. The Louisiana Purchase became the blank canvas for generations of American dreams and ambitions. It was a land of opportunity, mystery, and challenge, waiting to be explored and settled. It set in motion westward expansion, conflict, discovery, and the creation of a continental nation. The promise of new beginnings drew pioneers, adventurers, and dreamers into the unknown. This was the moment America turned west, beginning its complicated journey toward power. The land would test the nation's resolve, spark innovation, and ignite fierce debates about freedom and identity. The story of the Louisiana Purchase is the story of America, ambition, diplomacy, and luck colliding at a pivotal moment. It's a reminder that history is shaped not just by battles, but by bold decisions and unexpected opportunities. It was more than land, it was a declaration that the United States was meant for something greater. The Purchase sent a message to the world. America was here to stay, and it was ready to grow. The nation's identity, potential, and future were redrawn in an instant. The boundaries of possibility expanded, and a new chapter in the American story began. The greatest land deal in history changed everything, opening the door to a century of transformation, challenge, and hope for generations to come. The Louisiana Purchase was a monumental deal struck between two powerful nations at the dawn of the 19th century, forever changing the course of American history. This historic agreement was shaped by the ambitions and circumstances of two very different leaders, President Thomas Jefferson of the United States and Napoleon Bonaparte of France. Jefferson, deeply concerned about the future of American trade, wanted to secure access to the Mississippi River and, if possible, purchase the vital port city of New Orleans to ensure economic growth for the young nation. Meanwhile, Napoleon Bonaparte, who once dreamed of building a vast French empire in the Americas, suddenly found himself in desperate need of money to fund his wars in Europe and unexpectedly offered to sell the entire Louisiana territory. Jefferson's envoys, who had traveled to France with the intention of buying just New Orleans, were completely stunned when the French offered to sell all of Louisiana for the astonishing sum of $15 million. The territory itself was enormous, and its borders were vaguely defined, having shifted back and forth between French and Spanish control for decades, adding to the uncertainty of the deal. The secret transfer of Louisiana back to France had alarmed Jefferson, who saw the possibility of French control over the Mississippi River as a serious threat to American security and prosperity. What began as a purchase born out of necessity quickly became an unprecedented opportunity, opening the door for American pioneers to move westward and claim new lands. In a remarkable twist of fate, a modest negotiation for a single city turned into the greatest land acquisition in U.S. history, doubling the size of the nation and shaping its destiny for generations to come. In In 1803, the United States was a fragile republic of 16 states, still finding its identity and place in the world. The nation was young, its government barely a generation old, and its people were filled with both hope and anxiety about the future. The country clung to the Atlantic coast, its settlements hugging the shoreline, with vast, mysterious lands stretching westward, largely unexplored and out of reach. Its population was just over 5 million, a patchwork of farmers, merchants, and pioneers. The future felt uncertain as the young nation was hemmed in by powerful European empires, Britain to the north, Spain to the south and west, and France looming as a potential threat. For those living west of the Appalachians, the Mississippi River was a lifeline. Farmers depended on its waters to ship their crops to distant markets, connecting the interior to the outside world. When Spain revoked American trade rights in New Orleans, it triggered an economic crisis. Merchants and farmers alike feared ruin, and talk of war echoed through the land. Across the Atlantic, Napoleon's France was consumed by dreams of European dominance. Yet Napoleon also envisioned a renewed French Empire in the Americas, with Louisiana as its crown jewel. The fate of Louisiana was tied to global events: a fierce slave rebellion in Haiti, looming war in Europe, and shifting alliances that threatened to redraw the map of the world. Napoleon's ambitions in America faded as he faced devastating setbacks in the Caribbean and realized he needed funds to fuel his armies in Europe. The dream of a French empire in the New World slipped away. President Thomas Jefferson, though cautious and aware of the risks, recognized a rare opportunity. He moved quickly and decisively to secure the nation's future, determined to avoid conflict and ensure prosperity. The Louisiana Purchase was a product of global politics, fear, and ambition, a fleeting opportunity shaped by the ambitions of empires and the anxieties of a young nation. It was a gamble that would forever change the balance of power. America's desperate need for New Orleans met Napoleon's urgent need for cash, creating a perfect storm of necessity and opportunity. In a matter of weeks, the deal was struck. The agreement removed France from North America and opened the continent to American expansion, setting the stage for a new era of growth and migration. It was a transaction shaped by the unpredictable tides of history, a moment when chance and vision collided to alter the destiny of nations. The Louisiana Purchase, the young United States took a bold step onto the world stage, forever transforming its future and the fate of a continent. The land acquired in the Louisiana Purchase was a mystery to most Americans. President Jefferson quickly sent Lewis and Clark to explore and map the new territory. Their journey revealed a land rich in resources, fertile plains, vast rivers, minerals, forests, and wildlife. This bounty would fuel America's growth for generations. From the Purchase, 15 future states would be carved, reshaping the nation's map. The territory's size posed challenges: how to govern, settle, and defend such a vast, undefined region. Diplomatic disputes with Britain and Spain lingered for years. Most importantly, the land was already home to diverse indigenous nations, whose rights were important to deal. The unfolding of the American map was a story of opportunity, but also of conflict and displacement. The Louisiana Purchase flung open the doors to the west. Suddenly, ordinary Americans saw the frontier as part of their own country, not a distant unknown. Cheap land and new opportunities drew waves of settlers, farmers, trappers, and adventurers. The government encouraged migration, selling land at low prices. This movement westward shaped the American character, rugged, restless, and self-reliant. The idea of manifest destiny, America's supposed right to expand across the continent, took root. New towns and cities sprang up, and the nation's center of gravity shifted west. Expansion created new markets, spurred innovation, and transformed society. But this growth came at a cost, often ignoring the rights of those already living on the land. The Louisiana Purchase set America in motion, defining its culture of expansion for a century. For indigenous peoples, the Louisiana Purchase was a disaster. Their lands were sold by foreign powers without their consent. American settlers brought disease, new concepts of land ownership, and relentless pressure for territory. Treaties were made and broken, pushing tribes onto smaller, less desirable lands. The destruction of the bison devastated Plains cultures, undermining their independence. The expansion that defined America's growth meant loss, displacement, and broken promises for native nations. The story of the Louisiana Purchase is a dual narrative, opportunity for some, tragedy for others. Jefferson's Empire of Liberty had no place for the original inhabitants. The nation's rise was built on the ruins of indigenous worlds, a legacy that cannot be ignored. Why did Napoleon sell Louisiana? The answer lies in the Caribbean and Europe. His American dream depended on Saint-Domingue, France's richest colony, but a slave rebellion and disease destroyed that hope. Without Saint-Domingue, Louisiana lost its value as a breadbasket for the Caribbean. Facing war with Britain and needing money, Napoleon saw Louisiana as a liability. The British Navy threatened to seize New Orleans, so selling to the U.S. made strategic sense. The $15 million sale gave Napoleon cash for his European wars and denied the territory to Britain. Spain was furious but powerless to stop the deal. Even Britain preferred a neutral U.S. neighbor to a French rival. Napoleon's setbacks in the Caribbean and ambitions in Europe handed America its greatest prize. The Louisiana Purchase transformed America's global standing. Once seen as a minor republic, the U.S. now had continental ambitions. The deal pushed borders west, removed France from North America, and secured the Mississippi River. America gained strategic depth and economic independence. The purchase allowed the nation to focus on growth, not just survival. It fueled a new sense of national identity and confidence. The U.S. began to see itself as a continental power, ready to shape its own destiny. The balance of power shifted. The old world watched as a new world giant emerged. The Louisiana Purchase was America's declaration that it was here to stay. The Louisiana Purchase was more than a land deal, it was a turning point. It transformed a coastal republic into a continental nation, unleashing forces that shaped American history. The 15 states carved from its territory became the nation's heartland. Control of the Mississippi and New Orleans unified the country's economy. Expansion brought opportunity, but also deepened conflicts over slavery and indigenous rights. The Purchase set a precedent for bold action and fueled the ideology of manifest destiny. It forced Americans to confront the gap between their ideals and the realities of Congress. The Louisiana Purchase gave the U.S. the space, resources, and security to become a world power, a legacy that endures to this day.